Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Rhonda Hensley. Today we're going to talk about a topic that we might all can relate to, but we don't talk about a lot. And so today I want to talk about it, and that is there a connection between trauma and clutter? Now, if you looked around your house and you see these, I call them hot spots here and there, and stacks of magazines in the corner and just stuff everywhere, way too much stuff, there may be an underlying emotional problem. Today we're going to look at that. I'm going to talk about the response to trauma and clutter. I'm going to talk about what clutter provides for us if we've had trauma in our past. And I'm going to talk about the most important thing, and that's the healing process of trauma and decluttering. So, and stay tuned to the end because I might get real brave and show you my hoarder's closet. Now, hoarding, we think about hoarding, that it's this, that, the person that you look at the pictures and there's this trail through the house and there's stuff piled up everywhere and it impairs functioning. Well, there's levels of hoarding, just like there's a lot of levels of other things. And it may just be all the way the other extreme, that you have these hot spots or you have a lot of, I can talk about my personal stuff, knickknacks, clothes, shoes, makeup, books, stuff, and that was more of my reaction to trauma. Now, for me personally, I could keep everything in eyesight neat, but don't look in my closets, don't look in the drawers or in the cabinets, or oh my gosh, the garage. That's where the stuff accumulated for me. And over time, there was a lot of it. So we're going to delve into this. I'm going to share some personal stuff because I am, I guess you could say I'm a closet hoarder. So we're going to look at all of that today. And I'm going to show you some of my stuff. And I'm going to talk about the process I went through to declutter or to start decluttering. So many of you would ask, what is clutter? This is my garage. My husband and I worked out here for 2 days on this weekend, and we organized our clutter. Now that side over there is his, and this is mine. And that over there is none of my business. But this is clutter. It's old papers. There's some pictures. There is some stuff that's my kids. There is 9 boxes of receipts from my business that I need to take to the shredder. It's overwhelming. And I mean, so what does clutter provide? If this is overwhelming to me, what does it provide? Well, it can provide a sense of control. I can control my stuff. I can't control people, places, a lot of things, situations. I can control my stuff. How much I have, where it stacks up, wherever it is. A stack of magazines in the corner. There can be papers. I used to use my dining room to collect a lot of clutter. So here it is. And how can that be safety to me? Well, my stuff's not going to hurt me or abandon me or reject me. It's just there. My response to trauma was that I was not enough. And so there could never be enough love, time, money, or stuff. And it came out as clothes and shoes, and I couldn't have enough, and I couldn't get rid of it because I might need it because there wasn't enough. And it was this vicious cycle of collecting stuff, knickknacks, dishes. Uh, you know, I might save ribbons or who knows, makeup. Never enough makeup. There's just not enough. So I've been on this journey of decluttering my stuff for several years. And this is the last kind of leg of the journey, except for my aforementioned hoarder's closet. I have crammed all of the extra clothes and all of the extra stuff in that closet. And that's the last thing to tackle. But this over here, so how do you start? First off, address the trauma. Seek help. Process the trauma. When trauma happens, it clutters up our brain. And so we clutter up our lives. Because whatever goes on in my mind goes on in my environment. And that's a response to the trauma. So I'm going to go through the steps of how do I tackle this. It's a process. And another thing is when my father died 7 years ago. We had to put my mother in assisted living and all of their stuff, and nobody wanted it. And I went through this process of, why do I have all of this? And one of the things that helped me muddle through that was, does this stuff bring me joy? And since I didn't have a whole lot of room, I couldn't absorb a whole lot more stuff. So I had to decide and prioritize and figure out what exactly of my parents did I want. It's a process. Seek help. Get someone to help you. So the process to address this is I get a couple of boxes and a trash thing. And I decide, is this trash? Is this to donate? Or does this need to be shredded? Because there's some papers here that do need to be shredded. So that's kind of my thinking. Then I pick some small goals. I might address this 15 minutes 3 times a week, or maybe 15, 20 minutes 1 time a week. And I commit to that, and then I start. Now that seems like it would take me forever, but any progress is better than none. And gradually, I begin to make a little hole. This weekend, we worked 2 days out here, and I got rid of 10 boxes. That's a win, and I have to celebrate that. So I'm going to go over those steps again so that you can know exactly how to go about this process. You start small. You focus on one area, and you make a decision that that's the area you're going to work on. Then you set a timer for 15 or 20 minutes and focus on that one area. And you commit to doing that, like I said, 1 time a week. Then you be mindful of your emotional responses as you go through this process. And you feel those and you process those. Some of those things in my garage are from way back long time ago, and there's some grief in going through that stuff. And then don't be afraid to ask for help from friends for the emotional responses if you need to seek some therapy with that, or a life coach, or some of those type of things to process the feelings as you go through this. And remember, decluttering isn't just about getting rid of the stuff or deciding what you're going to keep or not keep. It's about emotional healing along with the process. Key thing here is be gentle with yourself. Have some compassion. If it gets overwhelming, stop and then go back to it when you're in a better frame of mind. And so it's real important. for some, this trauma response and the declutter can really feel very, very overwhelming. I got a little overwhelmed because some of that stuff that was in the garage had to come in my house because it belonged in here and it needed to be put up. And now my house is cluttered. And I don't do well with clutter that I can see. Now, if I can shove it in somewhere where I can't see it, then I do better. But that's part of my problem. And so I have to sit with being uncomfortable with a little more clutter in my house until I have time to either some stuff needed to be washed and then I needed to decide where it would go. And then there's some of that I had to clean out my hoarder's closet to be able to put, because it belongs in there. It's a storage closet. And so then I've got, that to deal with. And it's being uncomfortable. And uncomfortable with the feelings of the trauma, of the emotional response to that. And to process through those instead of stuffing it down or cramming it in a closet. And it's out of sight, out of mind. Address it. Just address it. Ask for help. That's a big one. And as promised, I'm going to show you my hoarder's closet. Now this makes me feel really, really vulnerable, but it's not about me here. It's about helping you. Here is what I fondly call my hoarder's closet. It is full of stuff that I need to go through, clean out, and get rid of. But what I know is there's a coping skill I can use to deal with this now. And that is if you're struggling with clutter, remember, you're not alone. And it may be a response to trauma. And so we're in this together. I've been vulnerable. You've seen my hoarder's closet. It's quite the mess. And I'll get to it. It's going to get cold soon. And during the winter months, it might be a good time for me to be inside and work on that closet. If you like what I share here, comment below. Comment with what you struggle with clutter. Maybe you have some ideas about some other topics that I could do on my channel. Subscribe and hit like. And please share if you know of someone else that might need to hear about the trauma and the connection to clutter. And remember, to be you on purpose.